Welcome to Nasdaq Market Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me from the market site in Times Square, New York City, we have Professor Merav Ozair. She's a blockchain expert and FinTech professor at the Rutgers Business School, and we're going to discuss ethics and the metaverse. Merav, it's great to see you as always, and ethics is such a complex subject. The metaverse, there's massive investments being made. We still don't have concrete reality. It could be years out. But you argue that we have to start thinking about the ethical implications right now.
Exactly. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm always happy to be here, and I was always excited. Yes, I think that the sooner we start talking about it, the better, because we already know we have like a second chance, so to speak. I mean, we already know all the things that went wrong in our current media, in our current technology, when we try to implement digital implications in the AI that is now the artificial intelligence, everything. So we already started talking about that, and we don't even have the metaverse, and we already have problems, which we haven't really discussed because we just started working without even thinking that these issues can come up. So I'm thinking that we have a really great opportunity to start thinking about it and start, building the framework and the guidelines as we develop it. It's like, like the build-in of the way we structure and develop and build the metaverse, this guidance will be already built in.
Right. Well, we think about Web 2, and to your point earlier, we're having challenges regulating that right now. And that's not even talking about the ethical part.
No.
So when you think of regulating the metaverse and inserting ethics into it, those are two very different things.
Right, right. I mean, ethics, I mean, I mentioned that, also in what I've written, is that, people are, trying, if you think about what is ethics, let's first understand what it is. So ethics is not law. Right? Even though it has some elements, that you can relate to the law. It's not law, it's not religion. If you think about ethics, there are like in three main buckets, right? You think about obligations, standards that relate to obligations, to rights and virtues. If you think about obligations, it's like that's what might fall under the law, which is basically do not steal, do not kill, do not, all of the things, and like there's no argument about that. People will not argue about that. So this is basically the easy part, so to speak. But there's also the rights for freedom of speech, the right for freedom of creative expression, the right for life, the right for equal opportunities. So this is where the standards becomes a little bit more vague, but there are standards that some people believe in them, some less.
Right.
And there's all kinds of virtues like compassion and honesty and dignity. And this is also something that people would say, oh, this is ethical, to be compassionate is ethical, and some would say no. So this is where things becomes in a way that, this is why I'm saying you have to start a discussion about that. What is ethical for you? So, okay, we say don't kill, don't steal, all of these don'ts that we already know, this is okay. But there are other things that we value in our society as ethical.
Right.
So, and you see that, discrimination and all of that, where does that fall?
Yeah, and to your point before, when you think about discrimination, don't kill, don't steal, technically there are all laws drawn up around that, and you would think inherently with ethics we wouldn't need to have those laws, but we do, because not everyone agrees on what's ethical and what's not, and I think that's really what the concern is, because it is so subjective.
Right.
Around the world, there is no standardization for it.
No, there's no standardization, not just countries, but as a person. I mean, two people living in the same country. We can walk outside after I leave the studio, and you walk outside and you start talking to people. You always have some kind of disagreement about issues. I mean, just think about, I don't want to go into politics or anything, but let's say abortion, right? It's a big topic right now. It's in all of the news. Everyone is taking a side, yes, no. So you see, there's a lot of issues that we cannot agree on So it's not like, everyone, sometimes people, ethical is whatever society decides. I mean, even the society doesn't know what to decide. And there are a lot of issues that some people value and some people don't. Like freedom of expression, some say yes, some say no. I mean, so all of these issues are very subjective, and I don't think they are confined to a region or religion or even ethnic group or gender or anything like that, that you can say, I can put, that all people from this country or that country. And this is why I was suggesting, I'm thinking that probably one way to think about is to create, like, we will have like multiple communities that agrees on ethical standards in the metaverse.
Right.
It will be a decentralized metaverse. And this decentralized metaverse, why I'm saying decentralized, because it will be operated by blockchain technologies, Web3, and governed by a DAO, which is a centralized autonomous organization. So autonomous organization is basically the best way to make it a little bit. It's governed by the members of whatever that community is. It could be like a huge community, like a country. It could be a small community. It depends on what you think as community. But but the DAO itself, you can think about like in a co-op, right? You have rules. What is, a community runs, you have rules, right? And a DAO is basically a smart contract. And every rules can be coded, right? Like every rules can be coded. So you can code, as of now, whether there are technical rules about how to run the platform, but there could also be rules about voting, and suggestions about voting. But you can also put rules about ethics.
Right.
And now, if people from no matter where, right, because it will be like decentralized, so everyone can have access as long as they have internet connection. I could come from the US, others can come from Asia or Africa or whatever. As long as they agree with those ethics, with those rules, they can become part of the community.
But don't we have that with Facebook, with Twitter now? They have their codes of conduct, and not that anyone reads them.
They have them.
Right. But if you want to participate on their platform, you have to adhere to it.
Yes and no, but because here's the difference. The difference is because they're centralized. And we have seen cases, when it's up to Facebook to decide whether to block, access to a certain, account, or, take them out of the platform or something like that. Something that they decide, not us as the members decide. And here I'm talking about, this is something that the members will decide. The member will vote what is right and what is not right. It's up to them to decide. And within that code, it will basically have rules about how to incentivize good behavior, to follow those rules, and how to penalize those who are not following those rules. But it's the members that decide about that.
So that's really what the difference is, moving from centralized rulemaking to user content creator.
And something that I do not have is Facebook, for example. I cannot suggest a new rule and put it to a vote. It's Facebook decide these are the rules. You like them, come. You don't like them, you're out of here.
Right.
Sorry for saying that, but
Yeah.
But here you have the chance to vote for new suggestions. You have the right to make changes, to improve, to be part of the community, to really be engaged.
Yeah, I guess that really is the key difference. Well, we look forward to reading your series on Nasdaq.com. It really is a fantastic read on the psychology behind the way we act, the ethical reasons, and of course the technology behind it. So
exactly.
It's an amazing series, Merav. Thank you so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
My pleasure.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.